Hey, what's good? Robert Reich is an American professor, author, lawyer, political commentator. He's worked with the administrations of Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, and he served as the Secretary of Labor in the cabinet of President Bill Clinton. Lina is an American legal scholar who was the chair of the Federal Trade Commission from 2021 to 2025. She's also an associate professor at Columbia Law School. This is The Illusion of Choice, How Big Business Controls Your Life, featuring Lina Khan. It's over on the Robert Reich channel. Before we get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some clothes that I think would look good on you. Let's go. All right. Before we get all the way into it, so Lina Khan was, in my opinion, she was a very good leader of the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, because she really did have buyers at the forefront of her efforts. And big corporations didn't like her because she didn't let them get away with their tomfoolery. And now that we have a corporatist in there, they're getting away with a lot. So anyway, let's find out how we have fake choice, kind of like politics. Everyone running for president. This should feel, unfortunately, very comfortable for everyone, or familiar at least. All right, let's go.
Powerful corporations are taking away your freedom, and you probably don't even know it.
I think we...
To explain, here's one of the great anti-monopoly champions, former Federal Trade Commission Chair, Lina Khan.
How free we feel is often tied to how we experience the economy. Are you really free if your groceries are so expensive that you can't afford them? Or if your boss can change your work schedule on a whim or block you from getting a new job? Are you really free if you have to ration your medicines because they're too expensive, or if they're not available at all? For too long, government stopped vigorously enforcing laws that protect our basic economic freedoms by keeping corporate America in check. These laws were created to promote fair competition, which prevents companies from getting so dominant that they become too big to care. So what does it mean when just a handful of corporations have concentrated control of markets across our economy? First, extreme market concentration can result in you paying more and having less choice. Take the grocery store. When you scan the cereal aisle, it can seem like there are dozens of different brands to choose from. But in reality, over 70% of the cereal consumed by Americans is made by just 3 corporations. Want to buy a bottle of soda? You could buy Pepsi, or Mountain Dew, or even Starry. And it can seem like you have plenty of options. But in reality, these brands are all owned by PepsiCo, which is one of 3 soda makers that control over 90% of the soft drink market. How about a roast for dinner? What would likely come from one...
I wonder if she's going to talk about internet, because like when you get a new apartment, you know, there's not a lot of choice when it comes to internet. It's either, you know, AT&T or, you know, whatever, Cox down in LA, blah, 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 all the things. You see it. And it's unfair because these corporations have, this is what's funny. These corporations don't want normal people to have unions. They don't want to band together so they can, you know, so they can bargain to their own benefit. But yet these corporations will get together and actually create a union and say, okay, Cox, don't sell internet in this area. And then Cox says, all right, fine. Don't sell internet in this area. And then AT&T says, yeah, okay, cool. So why can't you do that as a employee, as someone that's looking for work? Why not band together with people of similar benefit? The benefit of the outcome would affect them the same. So why not go in there and try to get as much as you're worth? But this is all part of the game. This is all part of the rigged system, is that you can try to do all that, but they're not going to let you. They're not going to let you. The rich and powerful are rich and powerful. They like it that way, and they don't really care about you. They don't care about your decisions. They don't care about any of that stuff.
3 meat packers that dominate roughly 70% of the beef market. This lack of competition can give dominant players the ability to bully and coerce small farmers and manufacturers, and it also gives them the power to overcharge you simply because you have fewer options of where to buy from. This isn't just a problem in the food industry. In 75% of US industries, fewer companies now control more of their markets than they did just 20 years ago. And less competition means more power for corporations to rip you off. Second, extreme consolidation can result in less power.
That's why they didn't like Lina Khan. That's why, because she had your best interest in mind. And then some knucklehead who Lina's choices and Lina's her adherence to the law really set off people like Trump, people like business owners and stuff. It really set them off. It pissed them off that she was in control because she was doing what was best for you. And then those knuckleheads go and get on TV and then they're like, oh, she's mean and all this stuff. And there's a lot of you guys that keep falling for this. It's crazy. It's crazy to watch you guys turn yourselves into pretzels and try to defend this chaos that's happening.
You as a worker. That's because when corporations dominate their markets, workers have less freedom to take their skills to find a better job at a competitor, simply because there aren't that many competitors.
Right.
A 2022 Treasury Department study found that wages were roughly 20% lower in heavily concentrated markets compared to markets with more competitors. And we saw this dynamic play out when Kroger and Albertsons tried to consolidate in what would have been the biggest grocery merger in US history. When investigating the deal, the Federal Trade Commission found that because Kroger and Albertsons had to compete for their workers, they had to offer their workers better pay and better benefits. And that eliminating this competition would mean that workers would have fewer options and less bargaining power. That's why we sued to block the Kroger-Albertsons merger and won. It's not just mergers. Tens of millions of workers across America, ranging from security guards to fast food workers to doctors, are stuck with a non-compete clause. That's a contractual provision that bosses can make workers sign to limit their freedom to take a job with a competitor or start their own business. Non-compete clauses can trap workers in abusive workplaces and stifle innovation, resulting in workers losing out on hundreds of billions of dollars a year in earnings. That's why the FTC passed a rule banning these non-compete clauses, though big business groups are now fighting back. Third, extreme market consolidation can endanger your life. When industries are dominated by just a few corporations, a single disaster can lead to major shortages. Take the production of something as simple yet vital as medical IV bags. Just 2 corporations, Baxter and B. Braun, supply 85% of IV bags in solution to our nation's hospitals. The manufacturing facilities of these companies were hit by hurricanes in 2024, leading to widespread shortages. That meant that if you got sick or into an accident, you might not have the ability to get the life-saving treatments you need because of these supply shortages. And it's not just IV bags. In recent years, America has seen major shortages of key medicines, affecting everything from cancer treatments to antibiotics. And as consolidation and abusive business practices let big pharma companies and middlemen jack up prices, millions of Americans are left rationing the medicines they need or even skipping them entirely. Consolidation is literally a matter of life or death. We hear a lot about how corporations growing more powerful and dominant in their industries is just a natural byproduct of the free market. But having fewer and fewer corporations controlling more and more of their markets is not some inevitability. It's the result of policy decisions that our enforcers and regulators make. That's why during my time as chair of the FTC, we sued to block mergers that would have undermined competition, and we cracked down on unchecked corporate power and abusive practices that for too long have resulted in you paying more for everyday essentials while earning less. These were important strides.
But then you get people like, again, Trump to come out, oh, the tariffs and all that dumb shit. Boy, I asked older folks about tariffs, and they're like, yeah, no, that's not. Like people that were around last time that they tried to do tariffs. Because that's what I do. I go and I go and I ask questions to the people who either were there or have, front row seats to that stuff. That's the only way that you're going to be able to learn and work your way through all of this, is going back and learning. I went to an older gentleman and I said, hey, tell me about tariffs. And he said that they didn't work, that back in the day, tariffs, yeah, the country ran off of tariffs, but it was the finance people were saying that they're not going to be able to continue to do business that way. They needed to create the income tax to help fund all of these programs and projects, and come to find out all these bombings and all these war campaigns and all this stuff. So tariffs were bringing the country down, and it was starting to look like they were, everything that's happening today, the shutdowns and all this dumb stuff. But income tax and all that stuff, And then again, it depends, because sometimes you talk to someone and they said the reason why they did away with tariffs and got to income tax was because now you don't have to wait for other countries to pay you money. You could just go start wars with your own money. I've heard that too. So anyway, Lina, let's go.
But there's so much more work to be done, and that's why we need to keep demanding that our leaders vigorously enforce anti-monopoly laws to tackle unchecked corporate power and to make sure that all Americans can enjoy real freedom. Freedom for consumers, freedom for workers, and the freedom for all of us.
There's a literal video of Trump on Fox News talking about how the American worker needs to start taking a look at not getting paid as much if you want to stay competitive with the world. Isn't that crazy? They want to pay you what they're paying people in China and Korea and Taiwan. But what they're doing in China is they have those workers, and that money goes to the government, and the government is slowly but surely taking over the world. In the United States, they're doing the same thing, but instead of going to the government, it's going to all these rich people that are trying to take over the world. Oh, Lina Khan. I started learning about Lina Khan, and I was very impressed with that young lady. I'm assuming she's younger than me. Yeah, she's one of the few people that was in government that was actually looking out for you. One of the few people in government that refused to let corporations team up and get even bigger because it wasn't going to be good for the American fill in the blank, for the American shopper, for the American worker, for the American fill in the blank. That's why if you do research on her, she's going to have a lot of people, especially in the current administration, that are going to be talking about how she sucks and all this stuff. And it was because she's in the way of them taking over. And now you guys put numbnuts in office now, and take a look. The price of eggs are still, what is it now? About $87 a carton. And let me tell you, they're not struggling. The Trumps, the Steve Bannons, all these folks, the Nancy Pelosi's, none of them folks, all them folks are eating all the eggs that they want. You're not. You're not. Take a look. You guys need to take a look and start stop voting your feelings and actually vote what you see and how you see people moving. If they say, Trump said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to fix this, do this, all the wonderful things. And then if you pay attention to what he says in other news, like after the election and stuff like that, he's like, oh yeah, we just say things to get elected. He's admitting to lying to you. Anyone that says Lina Khan was bad at her job and all that stuff is another lie. Pay attention. These folks are coming to get it all. They're coming to get it all. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it with each and every one of your friends. And if you want to come hang out with me, watch videos while I work on creative projects, hit that subscribe button and then change the little alert thing, the bell. Change that to all. So every time I come out with something new, you'll be alerted. Don't forget to go to coconutjustice.com and get you some dope gear. And with that,